Welcome to our video on anchoring bias. Imagine you're shopping and see a shirt priced at $100, then discounted to $50. That first price sticks with you, making the deal seem amazing. This is anchoring bias, where the first piece of information you get shapes your decisions more than you think. Anchoring bias is a cognitive shortcut our brains use. When we encounter a starting point, like a number or an idea, it becomes an anchor that influences how we judge everything after. Even if the anchor's random, it pulls our thinking toward it, often without us noticing. In a famous study, people spun a wheel landing on either 10 or 65, then guessed the percentage of African nations in the UN. Those who saw 10 guessed lower, around 25%, while those who saw 65 guessed higher, near 45%. The random number anchored their estimates. Anchoring isn't just for experiments, it's everywhere. Think about the first house price you see when shopping or a friend's opinion before a movie. That initial info sets a benchmark, subtly tilting your thoughts and choices in ways you might not even realize. Retailers love anchoring. A store lists a jacket at $200, then slashes it to $80. You feel like you're getting a steal because that high original price anchors your perception. Without it, $80 might seem pricey, but now it's a bargain. In negotiations, the first offer sets the tone. If a seller starts at $1,000 for a car, you might counter at $800, but if they'd started at $500, your offer would have been lower. That first number anchors the whole discussion, shaping the final deal. Even meaningless numbers can anchor us. In one study, people wrote down the last digits of their phone number, then bid on items. Those with higher digits bid more. Random anchors sneak into our minds and sway decisions without us knowing. Anchoring isn't just numbers, it's people too. If someone's introduced as brilliant, you'll overlook their flaws. But if they're called lazy first, you'll notice every mistake. That first impression anchors how you see them, fair or not. Media uses anchoring too. A headline says crime up 5%, and you think it's a crisis. But if it started with crime down 20% over a decade, 5% seems small. The first stat anchors your reaction either way. Our brains are wired for efficiency. When faced with uncertainty, we latch onto the first solid info we get. It's a mental shortcut that saves time but often distorts reality. Anchoring bias is a leftover from how we evolved to decide quickly. Anchors depend on context. A $5 coffee seems cheap after seeing $10 lattes, but expensive next to $1 drip coffee. The same number shifts meaning based on what you saw first, proving anchors aren't absolute, they're relative to surroundings. Job hunting, the first salary you hear anchors your expectations. If an employer says $50,000, you might settle there. But if they'd said $70,000, you'd push higher. That starting figure silently guides what you'll accept or demand. Think experts are immune? Nope. Judges given a random sentencing anchor, like 3 months versus 9 months, gave harsher penalties with the higher number. Even pros with training can't escape anchoring's pull on their decisions. Ever guess how tall a building is? If someone says 300 feet first, your estimate will lean close to that even if it's wrong. Anchors hijack our guesses, making them less independent than we'd like to believe. Anchoring's sneaky because it feels natural. You don't think I'm biased. You just assume that first number or idea makes sense. It's a quiet nudge that tilts your judgment before you even start reasoning things out. Ads anchor us all the time. Was $99 now $49? Screams value because $99 sticks in your head. Without that high anchor, $49 might not impress. Marketers craft these cues to make you feel smart for buying. Anchors can trick us. A real estate agent shows an overpriced house first, so the next one at $300,000 feels reasonable. But maybe it's still too high. Bad anchors lead us to bad decisions without warning. Can we beat it? Start by questioning the first info you get. Is that price, number, or opinion legit? Pause, research, and compare. Don't let the anchor lock you in. Awareness is your first step to breaking free. Rushing makes anchoring worse. Take time to think, why does this feel right? If you slow down, you'll spot when an anchor's pulling you off course. Deliberate decisions dodge the bias better than snap judgments ever will. Don't settle for one anchor, get more. In a store, check 3 prices, not just the first. In talks, hear different offers. Multiple anchors dilute the power of any single one, giving you a clearer picture to decide from. Buying a car, dealer says $20,000 first, and you haggle to $18,000 feeling great. But research shows it's worth $15,000. That $20,000 anchor fooled you into overpaying, showing how anchors distort even big choices. Met someone new? If a friend says they're amazing, first you'll see their best side. But a their trouble anchor highlights flaws. First impressions in relationships stick because anchoring shapes how we judge people long-term. Anchoring bias is powerful but not unbeatable. It's in shopping, talks, and even how we see others. Knowing it exists helps us question those first impressions and make smarter calls. Don't let anchors sink your decisions, stay sharp. Enjoyed this dive into anchoring bias? Like, subscribe, and share to spread the word. Understanding our mind's quirks makes us better decision makers. Hit that bell for more videos on how psychology shapes our everyday choices. Don't miss out. Thanks for watching. Next time you're swayed by a first impression, remember it's just an anchor. Pull back, rethink, and decide for yourself. See you in the next video. Until then, keep questioning what you see first.